Welcome to the Industry Experts Panel. My name is Michelle Holliday, and this is Portfolio Wealth Global's weekly interview with entrepreneurs who are making power plays and who are at the top of their game. Today, I'm thrilled to be speaking to the land geek himself, Mark Podolsky. Since 2001, this guy has been doing what many only dream of achieving, running a booming real estate career with over 5,000 land deals completed under his belt. I did the math here, and it comes out to about one deal a day. Mark, that is unbelievable. First of all, how are you today?
Pulse is normal. Respiration's fine. Michelle, I am thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Fantastic. Now, we're going to start off with how are you able to be so efficient?
Well, it's interesting because when I first started, I was a wreck, right? There's no way I could do that kind of volume when I first started. But today, we're 90% automated with software, where I literally just upload a list of people that are potential land sellers.
Mhm.
It goes out automatically. They come back. Our due diligence is outsourced. It's done in about 24 hours. I don't even write a check anymore. I have an acquisition manager team going through everything and running the business. I literally spend about 2 hours a week working in Frontier Properties, which is our land investment business. So it's completely automated. In fact, even our note management is automated. So people that are paying us, it's a one-time set it and forget it system where I get the automated recurring income coming in from our borrowers, and even that's automated. So we're literally 90% automated.
Wow, that's amazing. You know, life is becoming truly complex. And what we're seeing is that business leaders are basically creating systems that make procedures easier and more simplified. What are some of the elements, softwares, strategies of systemization that you are suggesting entrepreneurs implement immediately?
Well, the first strategy is you've got to really step outside of the business and look at how you're working and what you are personally working on, and think to yourself, well, how do I make it so I have no job, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're out there, let's say you're working on deal flow, and then you just break down the processes of everything you're currently doing to bring in deal flow. And so you just kind of write it all out. And then you like, I'm lucky, like I've got 3 children,
Mm-hmm.
right? So a
Yeah.
good process to me is my 12-year-old daughter can read that, process it, and understand it.
Oh,
If
there
she
you go.
can't read it and understand it, it's not a good process,
Right.
right? So the
Yes.
first part I think is strategy, looking at exactly what you're doing in your business so you can really just work on getting out of the business and growing it, right? So that's the
Right.
first part. And then I use software like Basecamp to actually create the actual system itself and then manage my team within there, have to-do lists, you have to have accountability, meeting with your team every week, and then the expectation, right? So I have my expectation is a 30-to-1 ratio, right? So if a system or a task takes me, let's say, 10 minutes to accomplish, right?
Mm.
My expectation is I will have to then teach somebody in 300 minutes how to do that, right?
Mm.
So that really helps me kind of mentally get prepared to do it. Otherwise, you end up getting frustrated. You end up firing people that probably don't necessarily need to fire, right? Because they're not getting it
Ah,
fast enough.
right.
So that ratio really kind of guides me, like, because they've never done it before. They're not going to be as good as me. They need to get their reps in, and you've got to explain it. You've got to explain it. You got to break it down. And every process, I take extreme ownership in, right? So, like, if they don't get it, it's my fault. It's not their fault. If my daughter doesn't get it, it's my fault. It's
There
not
you
her.
go.
And then that way, you really get a tight, automated system. And as the days and weeks and months roll out, you've really got something valuable there.
Wonderful, wonderful. Let's talk real estate. First of all, as a means of getting passive residual rental income, looking ahead for the next 10, 15 years, which cities and states will be the market leaders in the US and why?
It's so interesting. In our land investing niche, we work on the Southwest, a little bit in the Northwest, and California and Florida. And the reason being is that nobody wakes up and thinks to themselves, boy, I'd really love to own some land in Minnesota, right?
Mhm.
Unless you live in Minnesota.
Right.
But if you live in Minnesota, you might want to own land in California or Florida or Texas or Arizona or Washington State or Oregon or New Mexico, right?
Hmm.
And so those are the areas we really focus on. And I really think that in the years to come, I really think that those states are going to continue to see growth. You can't manufacture sunshine anywhere else.
Mm.
And that's where I personally like to focus. That's not to say that there aren't any other opportunities that might come available in other parts of the country. I mean, Oklahoma's great, right? If you're going to do, let's say, oil and gas exploration.
Ah. Mhm.
But I honestly like that's not our niche. So we we're really focusing on land investors.
Interesting. I speak with many real estate investors who say it's possible to enter the real estate profession at any time with as little as a few $1,000s. How can someone actually start off with such limited funds?
So in our niche, it's really easy. My buddy Duran, he's a multimillionaire now. He started with $800. I
Oh,
started with
wow.
$3,000. I've got clients now that actually do transactions with no money. So I'll give you an example.
Mm.
They tie up the property on an option, right? And they tell the potential seller, "Hey, look, I need to do due diligence on your property, right? And here, just sign this agreement saying for the next 90 days, you're not going to sell the property. You're just going to allow me to do due diligence, and then we'll close it in 90 days." Well, it takes about a day to do the due diligence for them.
Mm.
So that gives them 90 days to start pre-selling the property. Then they go to, well, we have a luxury in our land investing niche. The best person to buy that property are the neighbors, right? Because it's that fear, like, well, who's going to buy the property next to me? So you contact the neighbors, you send them a letter and say, "Hey, look, before I go to the open market here, I'm going to get
Exactly.
first right of refusal to buy this property." So like, "Oh gosh, I'll buy it. I want a bigger parcel." So then they put the money down, right? You close, do a simultaneous close. So with no money out of your own pocket, you can get started in this
Oh,
niche.
that's brilliant.
Thank you, Michelle. That's why I'm the land geek.
Yes, you are. Many investors fear losing everything, like in 2008. What was your worst transaction and what did you learn from it?
So it's interesting because land was like the last to get hit in 2008. So I really didn't get hit until 2010,
Oh,
right? But we're also the last to recover. So when housing's recovering, land's still lagging.
oh,
But I think it's interesting. I mean, I still made money. I've made money every single year in this niche, because it's just kind of recession proof. We kind of keep our payments at a car payment, right? So it's easy down payment, easy monthly payment. So just from a high level perspective, basically what we do is we look for people that owe back taxes and owe property or own property out of state. So Michelle, let's say that, for example, you live in Texas and you own a piece of property in California. I'm going to send you an offer that's 20, 30 cents on the dollar, right? Well, you owe back taxes. You're going to lose that property at some point anyways. You don't even care anymore. So like, I'll take something, right? So a percentage of those people will accept our offer, about 3 to 5%. So we close on that transaction. We quickly flip it, either at a 300% return on investment. But my favorite way to sell it is not cash, it's on owner financing. So we usually get our money out on the down payment from our borrower or within 6 months of the down. And then we get this recurring income coming in on rent without any tenants, without any toilets, without any termites, without
oh, wow.
trash. And because we're not dealing with a tenant, we are exempt from Dodd-Frank, RESPA, and the SAFE Act.
Oh,
So that's
wow.
why I call it the best passive income model. So to answer your question then, the worst deal I've ever done, I
Mm.
made $100,000 on.
Oh,
But
well,
but
darn.
but I thought I was gonna make 5 million.
Oh,
So
okay.
I didn't do a takedown deal. I go into this community. It's beautiful in Western Pennsylvania. They've got 3 lakes, 2 PGA rated golf courses. They got $1 million homes in there. It's gated. They've got restaurants. I mean, it's gorgeous and it's been overdeveloped. So I'm going there and they have a property owners association of about $900 a year, right?
Mm.
And the people who live there, they don't mind paying that association due, but the landowners don't want to pay it anymore. They don't care, right? They're not going to build out there anymore. So they don't pay their POA dues. And the POA then starts putting liens on all this property. And now the county's not getting taxes. They stop paying their taxes and their POA dues. So I come in there, I'm like, look, you got dead money. I'm going to make this money live. Even if I sell the property for $1, and I get somebody who's paying your POA dues and your taxes, it's more than you're getting right now, right? So I lock up 1,000 lots from and starts, I buy up 1,000 lots for like nothing, right?
Right.
And but what I should have done was a takedown deal. But I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't have a good mentor, or I didn't even seek out a good mentor. And as a result, I made money on that deal from 2006 to 2008. And then 2008 comes around and nobody wants to buy. Right. And I'm stuck with all this inventory and I've got egg on my face. Where if I just bought 10 at a time and did a takedown, I would have avoided that issue. So yeah, I mean, I made money, but when I factored in my time, I really broke even.
But still, it's knowledge is everything, right? It's just
No,
amazing.
knowledge is everything. And I would say to people who are risk averse, you're smart, right? You should be risk averse, but you should also know that the worst case scenario is, way, way worse. I mean, way better than if you don't take a risk, right?
Oh,
So, I mean, like I go through these sort of mental exercises with myself all the time. Like, okay, let's imagine I lose all my money. I lose the house, I lose the cars, I lose it all, right? What would I do? And when I start looking and start going through that mental exercise, it's not so bad, right? I'd go to Newport Beach. I'd join a 24-hour health club. I'd figure out a way to get some food. I'd live on the beach. I'd surf every day. I'd eat some.
That's your backup plan.
It's not so bad, right? My wife would be happy. I'd be happy. The kids would play.
They'd be really happy.
We'd be fine. We'd be just fine. But that allows me with that mentality to take big risks and go out and do things I really want to do. Because I know worst case, it ain't so bad.
Right. Mark, let's talk about the Fed raising rates. What possible implications that could have upon the market?
I love the Fed raising rates because land is an excellent inflation hedge, right? So you got gold, you've got your typical investments that are phenomenal hedges against inflation. I don't think that we're going to see major interest rate hikes, right? Because that's going to assume some serious economic growth. But you never know. I'm sort of, macroeconomic agnostic. I really feel like no matter what happens outside the things I can't control, I know two things are going to happen, right? I always kind of quote Jeff Bezos about this. So Jeff Bezos looks at the world like this. He's like, if everything's going to change and everything is going to change, what's not going to change, right? And for me, the two things that aren't going to change is I always believe people are always going to want a deal, and they're always going to want to own a real asset like land because it's going to outlive all of us. It's a legacy investment. They can do stuff with it. Land's phenomenal. There's a lesson in this country. So if I know those two things, and it doesn't matter, as long as I can buy property 23 cents the dollar, I don't care what happens with the economy.
Now, Mark, what is a land geek?
I'm the land geek. So a land geek is somebody that, is geeky about land and geeky about processes, geeky about automation, and geeky about technology. And so I'm the land geek, and I've got a whole community of other land geeks, and we all sort of work together. We share information, we share knowledge, and we have this abundance mentality. There's more than enough for everybody. Where if you let's say you go to a RIA meeting, right? If there's 100 people at that RIA meeting, I guarantee 99 of them are going to be, single family house flippers or wholesalers. You'll be the only land guy or gal, right? So we got this incredibly huge market with nobody doing it. And private equity groups don't like it. Hedge funds don't like it. Everybody tells you, hey, look, don't buy land. It doesn't, it doesn't cash flow, but we figured out a way to make it cash flow.
Well, Mark, I think real estate has played a major role in the big picture for the U.S. economy, and some 75% of U.S.-based millionaires come from this occupation, including our president. And this has been an eye-opening interview into the world of real estate, and thank you so much for taking the time.
Michelle, thank you. I really appreciate it.
How can people get in touch with you, and what would you suggest? Anything else that you'd like to add?
Yeah, so Michelle, I think the best place to learn more about our niche is my website, thelandgeek.com. And you can download for free on the website our passive income blueprint. We include our ebook, How to Avoid the Three Fatal Land Buy Mistakes. And you can get our podcast, The Art of Passive Income, delivered each week to your email inbox. And we interview experts from all over, not, business, leadership, real estate. We had Grant Cardone on among, many others. I just interviewed Dory Clark, who was a TEDx speaker, and she talks a lot about leadership and wrote 2 books, and she's a professor at Duke. So we have all types of experts come on, and it's really fun.
Terrific. Thank you so much again.